All right. So, Ike, do you want to say hi, introduce yourself real quick? I believe you should be able to be heard
Uh,
now.
all right. Well, I'm pretty sure most people here probably know me, but I play Dungeon Crawl, and I quite often actually.
Yeah, so mostly this is because I'm also recording this first party, so there's a chance this ends up on my YouTube, which is one of the reasons why I asked you to sort of start by introducing yourself. So for those of you over there who do not know, Wizard Ike is a dungeon crawl streamer, dungeon crawl stone soup streamer. He streams quite a bit. Ike is a bit quiet. That I can jack up on my end. That should not be a problem. We should be able to fix that. And I watch Ike stream quite a bit. We've raided back and forth to each other quite a bit over the last couple of months. And I decided I would reach out because he's a much better player than I am, with a lot more experience, a lot more time played. And I figured I could learn a thing or two from the master. And that's what we're going to try and do today. We're going to try and learn a thing or two. So
Well, hopefully I can teach a thing or two. I haven't tried teaching before, just tried playing before, but hopefully I can teach a thing or two.
How is that for audio levels? Is that better? Dragon, if you can just let me know if that's any better. In the meantime, still quiet. All right, we're going to jack you up even more. Let's go. So one of the things that I mentioned when I was in your stream briefly earlier today is that I think we're going to stick to something relatively basic, just a nice, strong melee character, because the things that I really want to learn, the focus of the coaching today, I want to be on early and mid game skilling and threat identification, right? And like threat management, right? So what do I skill when? And like, I want, like, how quickly should I know, like, oh shit, this is bad, right? Because that's what I seem to run into most, like, problematically, is that when I'm playing the game, I often cannot tell that a situation that I'm in is incredibly dangerous until basically I'm already dead.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even a dangerous creature, it's just a group of creatures that together are dangerous.
Yeah, and that,
Uh,
so maybe, and again, because that's something that, maybe you can help me identify, because, especially in the early game, one uh like one or two nulls might not be a problem, but like maybe six or seven is, or maybe, you'll be able to help me out with something like that. So I want to try something that's simple and strong in the early game, and just like wants to just run up and hit things really hard. So I suggested Gargoyle earlier. What do you think about that choice?
Gargoyle is definitely a good choice.
Mm.
You start with a few of those. They're slightly weaker at the earlier game, but they definitely pick up really well later on.
Okay.
I definitely recommend the Gargoyle.
One of the things I really like about the Gargoyle for later game is the Torment Resist, and the fact that are they just resistant to, or are they immune to Torment? I don't remember.
It's just resistance, so sometimes you still want to like lignify and stuff if you're doing Tomb, but everywhere else is good enough.
Sure. So let's run the Gargoyle. And I suggested Fighter or Monk. I think we're just going to stick with Fighter. I think it's a very simple, strong start. How do you rate the Monk start, just like generally speaking?
I really like it for doing any sort of dex-based character because it starts with the best dex, and the orb is enough to start you off like start you in the early game being tough enough to kill things. So if I'm going anything dex like a Longblades character or a range character, I often go Monk.
Really? How does the Orb of Light help you in the early game?
I mean, it just gives you a way better chance of hitting. So a lot of the time, it's like an extra 50% damage just because you're not missing as much.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I do think
But
I'm
later on,
gonna.
of course, you want to replace.
Yeah.
Later on, of course, you want to replace it with a shield, right?
Okay. That's like, how quickly would you like make that call? Like, are we talking like D7, or are we talking like layer?
No, it's like usually layer or end of layer, depending what sort of shield you find. or how good a shield you find.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, if you found a really good shield, you could replace it pretty much straight away, but it would have to be a really good shield.
Cool. Because it's also equipment is the next big thing that I want to like maybe roll into this. I mean, the benefit of grabbing like just a fighter is that the equipment is very, very easy to understand, like what's good for me. So we will probably be able to talk a lot about that with this run. But you know, if we decide to do this again, if we have fun with this, if we think this is good, then you know, like a good next step might be to talk about like equipment and stuff like that. But for now, I think I'm going to start with the fighter. I think it's a really good one.
Sounds like a plan. They start with decent equipment at least.
Now the flail, we get a +0 aptitude, which is better than the -1. But I really don't rate a flail very good as a starting weapon. What do you say?
I mean, it's got a decent chance of going into a demon whip when you find a main one, but if you don't find like a demon whip early on, it's not as great. That's kind of the main draw to it, is you got that chance of getting an early demon whip.
Why does it give you a chance to get a demon whip? Like I'm not sure that I understand the mechanic you're referring to.
Because well, I mean, technically any character can get the demon whip from a main one, right? But I feel like it's like in terms of other weapons, you got a smaller chance of getting a high tier weapon early on, I think. I mean, I guess you could respec when you found the demon whip with other weapons, but you tend to find a main one around lair, right? So it's getting a little late to respec.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I
mean, I've always found basically any of the weapons like Trident, War Axe, Flail all seem to work fairly well for fighters.
When given the option, and this might not be the right choice, but for me, given the option, I prefer to run an axe where possible.
Yeah, you certainly can't go wrong with an axe. Even if it's one aptitude lower, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and I've also been told, this is something that I have been told in other cases, is to not be afraid of like a -1 aptitude. The difference between 0 and -1 is not a huge amount to my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
-1 aptitude.
So let's just roll the War Axe for simplicity's sake. Okay, so here we go. We're in the game. So immediately we see, so I'm just going to pull up just the inventory just so that everybody sees what we start with here. So my background with the game, many of you here who are from W1zardIke's channel might know this because you might have seen me in his chat. I have one win, which I did get on stream with a Minotaur Berserker. I had a lot of help to get there. Especially with a lot of the with a lot of the late game challenges, especially getting through Zot and everything. I came very close to dying several times and only got out thanks to some strategy help from chat. So, you know, my experience is middling, not incredible. So, I just, you know, in case anybody else here has sort of low experience like I do, this is what we start out with as a fighter. I have the War Axe, which we chose. I have a Scale Mail, which is sort of very basic armor, and then I have a Buckler, which is a basic shield. I also have a Potion of Might, which I can quaff at any time to make myself hit very, 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 very hard. At least for the early game, it like increases my damage by an incredible amount. So, all right, so we're going to grab this. We're going to start with it. So I don't want to move too quickly in the early game because obviously I'm incredibly squishy early on.
Do you think there's any chance you could share your screen on Discord? Because the stream's lagging about, say, probably about 10 seconds behind.
That is a great question. Give me a second. We're going to find out if I can actually do that. Let's see. Screen share.
Oh yeah, that seems to have worked, I think.
Can you see that?
Yep, definitely.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep going then.
Oh.
Okay, I see a ball python.
I'll make that screen would be great.
Oh, are you able to see what I'm doing?
Yeah, it's sharing it. I just had to figure out. Oh, there we go. There's the full screen option. That's
Oh,
better.
you're looking for a full screen option. I see.
Yeah, because it was just like a little tiny screen.
Oh no,
I
that
mean,
certainly not good enough. All right, so I'm probably not afraid of a ball python the early game. Okay, so I'm gonna pull these guys back into thing here. Oh, by the way, one thing we didn't. Oh, I also see an endoplasm. I mean, I really don't have much of an option except to sort of stand and deliver here, so that's what I'm gonna do. We did not look at skills, so if I were to, there we go, pull up the skills menu. So automatically, now this is another thing that you might be able to maybe sort of help me with is that there's like a file that you can modify that changes what you like your certain starting things are. Is that true with the online version or just when you download it to your PC or?
yeah, that's true of the online version. And your RC file, you can mess with the starting skills for certain backgrounds. I haven't done that personally. I always just go into the skill menu and choose what I want.
Okay, so you always
Um,
do it at the beginning of each run. Okay, that's what I do as well. So obviously we don't want to train the cross-trained skills. So maces and flails and pole arms. We probably don't want dodging would be my guess. But now looking at these sort of 4 skills that are left, do I focus axes?
um, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to start with some extra axes, yeah, because the fighters actually start slightly behind their weapon skills, so I'd definitely focus it. Also, I'd probably set a limit on your shield because you've only got a buckler. Set a limit to like 5 or something around there.
Okay, so that's the thing that I've got to, so set a skill target would be, and then I go to shields. How much would you say to set it to?
I just go with 5, somewhere around there.
All right, okay, cool. Nice. And then I can hit this to go back to it. Okay. Nice. I don't usually play
Also,
around with what, sorry, go ahead.
I've noticed you're like in the auto training instead of the manual training. The auto training isn't very good at picking out how much XP to put into certain skills.
Okay.
So you can hit the like I think it's the / key to change the training mode.
Okay, set it
And
to
what
manual
that
mode.
does it evenly between the skills, apart from the ones you focus and get more.
Oh, I see. I've never done that before.
Yeah, and
Oh.
I always find just splitting it evenly tends to work a lot better than trying to detect how much to put into various skills.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's set that and start going then. I've never done that before. I've never tried to mess around with that. I've always just set it on auto. Because with auto, what it does is it starts like as you use a skill more, it puts a higher percentage into that skill or something like that, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, it does, which is not necessarily correct. It can get a bad balance between like putting into armor and putting into weapons and stuff.
Interesting.
Um,
All right, let's just try and get
like if
through.
it decides to put most of your skills into your weapon or something and neglect armor, the weapon training can get very expensive compared with the armor training. And you're
Interesting.
kind of not getting that much benefit. I'll probably grab that chainmail.
You think so?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Should I keep the scale mail or just drop it on the ground?
Just drop it or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
I wasn't sure if there's a reason why I'd want to waffle between the two of them.
No, not really, unless you're getting into like spells or something.
Which we probably won't, just for simplicity's sake, at least not right away.
Yeah.
So there's a long sword on the ground. Probably we decided I'm probably gonna stick with axes just for the time being. +5 ring of evasion. We'll put that guy on. We're not going to be very evasive with, although I don't know. Looking at it, I've got 9 decks, which is more than I expected. It's not a ton of decks though. Probably not going to be.
It's not really enough to get into like dodging or anything, right?
Okay. I wouldn't think so, but
I mean, you can still get like a few points later on, but I wouldn't worry about it until like quite late in the game.
so we have an unknown god with a -1 dagger on it. Do you ever go for Fated Altars?
I check out what gods they offer. I often go for them just for fun, but sometimes they're optimal.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they
But yeah,
changed it at some
now
point to they changed at some point that it shows you like 3 options, right?
yes,
Hep, Kiku, or Ignis.
I probably wouldn't take that. I think
That's
Kiku wouldn't really help this character.
yeah. I don't know anything about Hep as well. I don't know anything about Hep.
Heavily Aquanas are really good for any sort of characters that are ranged or have a polearm, because you can hide behind your ancestor. But it's a little bit worse if you don't have any sort of range or reach sort of attacks.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Can you like do you accidentally do friendly fire with like an axe because of the area attack?
I don't believe so. No, in fact, no, you definitely don't, because I've been with like the Shining one before, and the angels have been perfectly fine.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, I mean, we're gonna walk into this teleportation trap just to get it out of the way. How often do you, I haven't really noticed in your streams, or I haven't really paid that much attention to it. How often do you like auto explore versus just like moving tile at a time?
I auto explore most places, just because it's really slow to manual explore everywhere. The exception to that, the main exception to that would be Vaults 5, where the auto explore will take you to the center of the map and get you killed.
Right.
Or there's a few other places I occasionally manual explore, but that's the main one that I manual explore.
It's an annoyingly isolated part of the map. I'm trying to like figure out what the closest what the closest stair is to here. Oof. There's an ugly one. All right, well, there's the first one done. All right, we have a welcoming party here. Like obviously the bat is not a problem. The quokka is not a problem. The endoplasm probably isn't a problem. But that with that knoll there, would you stair dance here, or would you just sort of stand and deliver?
Yeah, so I'd attack the endoplasm so the quokka moves up and bring those creatures up.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually I stare down dance whenever I can, basically.
Okay, that makes sense.
And with that null there, with the polearm, if you move that one way and then back, I guess it didn't work because the bat got in the way.
Yeah,
but that usually
I thought I was being very clever with that. I was like, "Ooh, I can trick him," but then the bat, like you thought. +2 Spear of Venom.
Probably a good thing to start as a gargoyle with a venom spear on the enemy.
You think that's a good thing?
Yeah, because the gargoyles start with immunity to poison, right?
Oh, right. So you like my first enemy with an enchanted weapon is something I'm immune to. Do you think it's worth like me picking up at all?
I mean, probably not.
Yeah,
but you can
I
take a
didn't.
look at it. Venom's a good brand early on.
I didn't think so. I wouldn't. I wasn't considering it. I just wanted to, beg the question.
Yeah, I mean, if you hadn't started with any sort of decent weapon or you hadn't already got some axe skill, it would be worth using. But that's the thing about fighters, they actually start with a fairly decent axe.
I noticed, yeah, it's the war axe, it's not the hand axe.
Yeah, so I think, is that fighters and gladiators that both start with decent tier weapons and everyone else just starts with kind of useless ones?
I'm not sure.
I think it is.
Oh, by the way, there's wait. Oh, I picked him up. I picked up the throwing nets. Okay. I saw something on the readout, but I wasn't sure what it was at first. So I now have a couple of throwing nets. So these are things that I often forget about, and I often find like that I don't use them as often as I probably should. So maybe you
Honestly,
can.
I often forget my nets as well. I know they're like really good against liches and stuff, but I often forget to use them.
Why are they good against liches specifically?
Liches seem really bad at like evading them because they don't have the good evasion.
Ah,
And
okay.
also liches are like tough enough that it's worth using.
That makes sense to me. I see plate armor here. Is it time? Should we move right up into plate armor or no? Is it too early?
Probably. Give it a try, see if your defenses go up, but it's probably worth it.
Okay, so we're gonna put that on. So I'm at 12, 12, 4. 15, 10, 4. So
I mean, that's a little bit better.
yeah, up by 1 total overall.
Yeah, and AC is generally slightly better than evasion for the same amount.
Really?
Yeah, that's why the evasion rings got changed to +5 and the protection one stayed at +4.
Oh,
It's because otherwise the people would just always use the protection ones over the evasion ones.
interesting. All right, I'm getting quite a number of. There's a specific potion stack that's starting to get kind of big here. What is your opinion on read identifying scrolls?
I tend to leave things till relatively late, but that's not necessarily the best way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I wait till I got a stack of like 3 or 4, and then I'll read it to see if I've got to identify or something.
Yeah, usually what I do is I step down, and then I read, and I will read like stacks that I have. So like now I don't have any big stacks, but I've got a stack of 2 and a stack of 2. So I'll read them. And the reason that I step down is because I might get magic mapping. And you know, I would prefer to use that on a thing. So I rolled vulnerability, so I'm going to step up and I'm going to let that go away. And then we're going to roll G, which is blink. So that's unfortunate. We're just going to cancel out that blink. Oop. Yes, cancel the blink. And then we're just going to wait out vulnerability and go down. All right. Keep moving. We're in D3 now. So obviously I'm going through way slower than, like, you know, you're probably used to. But, oh, poison dart, I wasn't reading.
No, I think it took me like, I think it was a bit over 8 hours to get my first win in the game. And about the same again for my second win in the game.
8 hours?
So
That's
my
a
first
pretty
one
serious amount of time commitment.
Yeah, it was a pretty long run. Although I spent a decent amount of that time in the Abyss actually trying to find the rune because I was a Lagonu worshiper, I think.
Oh, wow. Was your
Back
first
when you
win
could
a
start-
3, or was it, did you just do 3 runes, or did you, like, take the Abyss as an extra rune?
Yeah, I did. I just did 3 at the time. So at the time, I didn't really know how to do Balls 5, and didn't really know how to do the slime pits. So I was really struggling with those. So I just went with Lagonu and did the Abyss.
So you said forget Vaults 5. I'm gonna go to the Abyss instead. Good decision.
Yep, and it worked really well because I didn't know really how willpower worked exactly, so I tended to undervalue it back then. So I kept getting sent to the Abyss anyways. So it was nice to have Lagonu to save me when I got sent to the Abyss.
All right, I see this Kozlov altar, and as much as I really want to do it, I'm not gonna do it just to keep this run nice and simple. Because Kozlov really fucks with your, like, threat, like, identification process, right? Because you're constantly making so much noise that, like, what the fight that you're currently looking at is versus what it could be at any second seems to be really, like, I always find that I do very poorly at, like, predicting, because like I said, one of my big problems is that I don't know that the situation I'm in is dangerous until, ooh, enchanted gloves +2. I'll certainly put those on. I don't know that a situation I'm in is dangerous until I'm basically dead, right? So with Kozlov, I find that, like, I go from, oh, everything is fine to dead way more often because, like, I get suddenly surrounded by, like, an insane number of enemies.
Yeah, especially if you get like especially if you get like shafts, I mean, and then there's like nowhere to run to, and then suddenly all the enemies on the level just decide to come to your position. I've always found that one of the main downsides with Quaslols, like getting shafted, is just really bad.
That makes so much sense. I don't think I've
Because at
ever...
least, at least usually have somewhere to run to, right? Like you can run to a staircase or something, but not if you get shafted.
D4 Temple. How about that?
So what sort of god are you planning on? Just like something easy like Okawara or something?
I mean, we could even do McLab, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've never found them the strongest on melee characters. They're definitely decent, but I found them more. They tend to be a god that I tend to go a lot with genies, right? Because genies
Mm-hmm.
use health to cast spells.
Ah, okay.
Because I mean, they're decent, but their health on kills got reduced from what it used to be.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So we could do. Which one was Ellie? Was Ellie? Oh, I'm like blanking here. Is Ellie one of the like good three, or is Ellie the fighter god?
yeah, Leveland's one of the good gods. It's the one about
Okay.
healing and pacifying and stuff.
Okay, so that's probably not what we're going. Shining one. Nemelex. We can go Nemelex. We want RNG. Wow, is there no... Oh my god. Okawaru's missing.
I mean, you could always go with if you want to change to Okawaru later, you could always just go with one of the good gods now and swap over later.
So the good gods, they don't care if you leave them ever? I thought they only don't care if you leave them for each other.
They don't care as long as you leave them for a god that's not evil.
Ah.
And Zen comes with some extra restrictions. So you're not allowed to go for a chaotic god like Jiva was Zen, but the other one's just as long as it's not an evil god you switch to.
Interesting. Okay. So between the Shining One and Ellie, which one do you consider like to be the strongest for like just a pure melee, get in their face and hit them hard build?
I mean, I'd usually say the Shining One, but if you've got high invocations, which I don't think Gargoyles are that special, a Leveling can get kind of ridiculous, especially in the lair.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got the ability to pacify things. So if you got lots of invocation skill, you can just kind of insta-kill creatures.
How does pacification work? Do they stay on the field and just roam around as neutral, or do they just disappear?
So they stay on the field for a little while, but as soon as they get to a staircase, they disappear.
They get to a staircase and they disappear. Ah. All right, well, let's try that. I don't think I've ever followed this god in any run ever. So here we go. It's our first.
But if we're going to change to Okawaru later on, you might not even get any abilities this time around.
We'll see. Oop, store. Very early store. Nothing good. Okay, keep going. Okay. Well, we've had no major threats so far. This has actually been an incredibly easy first couple of levels. Helmet? Can I wear a helmet? I can.
Should be able to. I think Gargoyles can wear a full set of everything.
Oh, do I get bonus AC from equipment? Because that just went up by 2. My AC just went up by 2.
So a helmet gives 1 base armor class, but it's still affected by your armor skill. So it's probably giving slightly over 1 armor class.
And it just rounded.
And then, yeah, then it gets rounded.
Okay. That makes sense.
So if initially you're sitting on, like, say, 18.9 or something, and it brought you up to, like, 20.1, it would always round those down. So it would initially be 18 and it'd go up to 20.
What the fuck is a sleep cap?
So it can put you to sleep when it hits you, but I believe gargoyles are immune to sleep, so it's not too bad.
This is it. How new is that? I don't think I've ever seen one.
It's reasonably new, but yeah, gargoyles have a lot better time than some characters. Because when you get put to sleep, the next hit that hits you does like 2.5 times damage, so it's kind of bad.
Ouch. That sounds real gross. We're gonna go down here. Oh, right. The staircases are right next to each other. Okay. Stair dance with you. Now, what do you feel like here, considering what you just saw in that lower level? Like, should I like go staircase to staircase back and forth like this, or like should I just keep trying to pop down one? Like, do you feel like I'm just wasting time by doing this more, or like? Because
I often bounce between two staircases, although that one you just went down looked fairly safe to head straight back down.
yeah,
If there's like if there's no creatures inside, when you get back down, if there are creatures inside, they tend to not quite be up to the staircase yet.
I am having a hell of a
Usually.
time killing this invisible wizard. There we go. Jesus. That gave me a hell of a time. Oh yeah, we're good here. I am having a hell of a time killing these invisible wizards. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're really, really hard to hit when they're invisible, especially when you're confused.
Yeah, see, now I'm confused as well. Like, this is actually problematic. I need to, like, I want to stare
the
down.
early game
Oh, I got him!
accuracy starts off like really low.
I got him, though. I was going to try and drag him back up again, because I was starting to get uncomfortable with that fight. But I did not have to. Alright, we're good. Shadow Imp. Oh, Shadow Imp is pain, but I'm RN plus, right?
You should be, yep.
That's the wrong... No, that's the right one. Yeah, I'm RN plus. Yeah. Cool.